This is In My Lounge Room, and I'm your host, Sky.
And I'm Damo. And on this week's episode, the rules of dating, or lack thereof.
Ooh. Hey, Damo.
Hey, Sky. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you want to know what I've been doing? Can you tell I'm super excited? So I've been at a photo shoot.
Ooh.
I know, with a local photographer, Rosie Button, and she's amazing. And I got to be a 1950s pin-up girl.
Oh, nice.
I know.
I did notice, I mean, you've rocked up with your hair done and your makeup on like you're going out, but you still got your basketball shirt on. Right. And so you kind of like, you're a fashion juxtaposition at
I
the
100%
moment, so,
am. I know. I'm
so
like, yeah, I'm just hanging out to the basketball courts, but in my 1950s face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full. No, but how was it? Was it fun?
It was heaps of fun. Yeah. Like, and I got like, yeah, it was just, I felt like I was like Marilyn Monroe in a photo shoot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Did you like have costume changes?
Yeah,
and
I
stuff,
did
or?
like a dress, like a 1950s dress with like the full like stockings, you know, with the line, the seam down the back. And I had like a parasol, and then I had like a phone. I had lots of like different props.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I did like a bathing suit, the one with like a beach ball, and yeah.
I was going to say, where was the kind of like, was it at studio? So you had backdrops and stuff?
Yeah, it was a full photo, like a full studio. She's got it set up vintage. It's full vintage. It's very cool.
So would you recommend her services?
I would recommend her.
Give her
This
a
is not meant
plug.
to be an advert, but totally. Rosie Button Photography is amazing. She's all about empowering women and making them feel feminine and sexy and anything you want to feel. So
How do I find her?
On Instagram, Rosie Button Photography. That's the best way. She's got a website as well. But I'll put all the links on the notes of the podcast.
Yeah, do that. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I mean, I've
What have you been doing?
today not a hell of a lot. I had a banh mi for lunch, but here we are.
Here we are. What are we talking about?
Well, I guess it's a pretty broad subject, but a lot of times over the last, I don't know, year or whatever that I've known you, and I've also get from other people, questions about what's appropriate when you meet someone in terms of timelines for messaging, or, you know, like first kiss, or, you know, who picks up who. Because we touched on this in previous episode of like, first dates, where do you go? What do you do? Do you get picked up? Do you meet them there? You know,
Yeah.
when do you meet their parents?
Yeah, okay,
You know,
okay.
when do you discuss how many children you're having?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's one of my favourite conversation topics.
Of course. Would be.
I never discuss that, but okay.
People discuss all sorts of things, but
That's
yeah.
true. Okay, so let's do the most popular subject that I always ask you about, and that is, when do you message? Like after you've met someone, say, or okay, let's do when the time that I met that guy at that speed dating, and I was like, oh, I had a great time, and he said we're going to catch up. What should I message or what should I do?
Yeah, I think it seems to me that it shouldn't be, but it does become a gendered issue where like it's like that whole who messages first on dating apps, and
Yes.
Bumble forces women to message
Yes.
first. Some women are uncomfortable with that.
They are.
Because
they
they
refuse to
like-
use Bumble.
Yeah, they like that whole, well, you know, it's a man's job
Blah,
to
blah.
message first. It's not. It's
No,
no one's job to message first.
I agree with that.
But when we had that conversation, you still had an element of, but I'm the woman, you know, would it be inappropriate? What's he going to think? It's not about what you think. It was like still thinking, well, what's a man going to think? Is he going to go, this woman's too bold if she messages me first? Message him on the night of meeting him versus the next day, in the morning, at night, or whatever. Yeah, it's
It's very confusing though, and I think And the reason is because there's always been these rules around dating, like, and I think it stems back to like the 1950s and probably before then, when the man, and I hate to, obviously this is just very stereotypical gender here, like, which I don't like to do, but
Yeah.
he would, ask the girl on a date and ask her on a second date and walk her to her house, etc. So I think there's still that attitude when it comes to dating now. Like, I was really worried to message him first because I was like, is he going to think I'm too forward, or is he going to think that I'm like a bit of a stalker? Those sort of questions.
Yeah, and that's all ingrained from society. And so it doesn't matter how progressive you want to be. There's always going to be that underlying thing of it's like, well, that's how it was always done, through that traditional style of courting. But
did you say courting?
Courting,
oh,
yes.
Courting.
That's what they used to call it, right?
So lovely.
But it's not like that. Like we don't, you don't have to sit on the wall at the dance waiting for the man to choose you to go dance, and you don't have to go to your prospective love interest's parents' house and ask them if it's okay to take her out on a date. It's different, and I think a lot of things have changed for the better. A lot of things have not. But I think one of those things that is better is that women can take that control.
But it's interesting. So I think I mentioned this another time, is that I was on Tinder and I messaged the guy first and his response was, oh, normally women don't message first? And I was like, okay, but
So
I'm choosing
not allowed,
to. Yeah, because it's not Bumble, so therefore...
Yeah, so therefore you're breaking the rules of engagement. It's like that guy from the last episode or the one before, whatever it was, where he had to straight up tell you that Tinder's for hookups, FYI, Tinder's for hookups.
Yeah, you idiot.
Where's the rules? Like, I don't see that. But I think that the time frame for messaging, there are certain things, because that was your question.
Yeah.
Don't leave it a week.
Okay.
Because they seem uninterested. Mm-hmm. And there's no such thing as too early.
Okay.
Because,
Okay, so what about this then? So I was talking to a friend of mine and she was saying how a guy had messaged her, then she messaged and blah, blah, blah. And then she goes... And then she put a question mark because she hadn't heard from him. And he's like, oh, well, it was your turn to message. So people are now having this attitude that you have to have this like back and forth, that you can't do 2 messages in a row.
Yeah, okay. See, and that also comes into the interpretation of ghosting. Mm-hmm. Because if you sent the last message and then there's no further contact, you're the one that did the ghosting.
Right. Okay.
The person who didn't reciprocate the message. So I send you a message and you don't reply. Well, then you've ghosted me.
You.
Well, not necessarily.
Yeah.
It depends on the time frame. But yeah, there's too many. I think too many things hardwired into us which are not relevant that come from that previous way of thought where it was about meeting people first. Now we're talking to people before we meet them.
Yeah, it's very different.
When we do meet people first, we go, whoa, geez, what am I supposed to do? And that's what happened because you met this guy. Apart from him and the American, but you were aware of him online before you met him, though.
The American?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, a little bit, but yes. Yeah. This guy, first time I'd ever met him was out in public.
Yeah. So, therefore...
Like old school.
Yeah. So things change then because then it becomes, well, I've gone home. Do I message him now and say I had a good time? Mm-hmm. Do I message him tomorrow? And, is that going to make me look needy?
Yeah, that was all the problem. That was all the questions I was asking you. Like, I'd already said to him, can I grab your number? Because I was going. And then he was like, let's catch up. And I was like, okay. And then I drove to yours to do the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. A few important things to grab there. he said, let's catch up. Okay, so this is like, you know, when you see a friend or you speak to a friend you haven't seen for a long time.
Yes.
And then you realize that you'd like to see this person, you know, they're a mate from years gone by or whatever. And then you say, we should catch up. It's your responsibility to organise that catch up.
Do you think?
Yes. If I say to you, let's catch up next weekend, the onus is on me because I asked you. I instigated the conversation. All you have to say is, yeah,
okay.
Agree to it. And then if next weekend comes by and I haven't contacted you or I haven't done anything in regards to the catch-up, that's on me.
Yeah.
That's not your fault.
That's true. Yeah.
So in that regard, he said, let's catch up again. Let's see you again. So your message to him later or whatever doesn't have to revolve around that. It can just be, had a good time, looking forward to seeing you, looking forward to catching up. He should be putting in some effort as to, hey, so this Friday.
And that, remember I said that to you? I said he wouldn't make any decisions.
Yeah.
Like, it was really annoying because I was like, had a good time. And he's like, same, blah, blah. And then when I was like, I think when we did discuss catching up, he wouldn't make a decision. So I ended up having to make a decision.
Yeah.
And that was annoying.
Yeah, and I was talking to a girl at work about this yesterday or earlier in the week when it comes to organising dates. It's not a gendered thing. 9 times out of 10, it tends to be that way where the man's like, ask the girl out, you're going to take you out for dinner or whatever. But like, I've got a friend, you know, Anita. Okay, she doesn't mind me saying her name.
Okay.
She will ask people out, and she has this rule that if she asks you out, she's paying for dinner.
I really love that. I love that a lot.
Because she's asked you to go somewhere where you weren't necessarily going to go.
True.
If you've discussed or you're friends or whatever and you've known each other for a while or you're dating.
Then it's split.
And you agree, let's go out. Yeah, let's do that. You split it. But that initial thing. Now, I'm all about splitting bills.
Yeah, I like splitting bills too.
I don't mind offering to pay, but if you're like, no, let's split the bill, I'm like, sweet, splitting the bill. Or do you want to split the bill? But that's neither here nor there. It's more about that because we're talking about communication, not talking about actual dates. We'll get into that maybe. But it's more about who messages first and when do they do it and what should it be about. If you want to message, do it when you want. If they're not responding, they're not interested in talking and you'll pick that up. You know, so don't send a message going, hey, had a really good time last night, tonight. Like, because, you know, when you go on a date and then, like, after you get home, just got home, thought I'd let you know, had a good time, talk to you later.
Yeah.
They might just go, yeah, me too. Going to bed now, catch you later.
Yeah.
And then the next day, it doesn't matter who messages.
Because it's the next day.
It's the next day.
Yeah. Except people do. They're like, oh, well, he messaged first, so I'll wait for it's my turn, or I messaged.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
No, new day, new conversation.
Yeah. Also, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, and when you get into a ongoing dialogue with someone, there might be little things that you set with them where, like, they get up before you in the morning, so they message you good morning. You know, that's a nice thing to do. And then you answer when you're ready.
Yeah.
Like, because, like, if you message me in the morning when I'm getting my daughter ready for school or whatever, I'll generally voice message back because I don't have the time to text. But if I don't message back, well, you're my friend, but you're going to go, well, he's doing things.
Yeah.
Some people can't handle that. It's also one of those things as people are talking to multiple people.
I know.
So you then get that sense of, oh, I'm being ignored for, you know, someone else, you know. And it probably is true.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean they're not interested. They're just spreading themselves a bit too thin. I think if you've been talking to someone for a week or two and you're engaged in conversation and then their method of communication changes or their, not their method, but their frequency and their interest changes, then you can go, they're not interested.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you haven't met yet. And then going even further, if you have met them and then they message more sporadically or, you know, or,
It's a bit like I talk about anyone I've dated with nationality pretty much because they all seem to be different nationalities.
well, you've got to categorize people
Right.
somehow.
So, like
yeah.
the German, for example, seemed keen and then just sort of like it just was still keen when he saw me, but then messaging was ridiculous. So finally, I just messaged him saying, "Look, you're obviously not interested. That's okay." And then he'd be like, "Oh no, I am interested. Like, let's catch up again." And that was
Yeah.
confusing.
You're not a mind reader.
No, I'm not. I'm pretty good. And then eventually, I think after the third date, and I was like, right, you like, do you want to catch up again? What do you want to do? And he was like, oh, I'm just not ready
Yeah.
for a relationship. I was like, what?
Yeah, but that's one of those other communication issues that people have. Like, once again, Anita was seeing this guy and she said to him, and she has no problem with me saying these things. I mean, they're private, but whatever. She's spoken to me about it. I've told her I'm probably going to talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Where she was seeing this guy, and then it's been a few weeks, maybe months, I don't know, very short. And he was talking to her about saying to his mum that, like, referred to her as his girlfriend, right?
Oh.
To his mum. And Anita's gone, why would you say that? And he's like, oh, is that? And she's like, well, we haven't spoken about that.
Yeah.
Now, she wasn't saying, don't want to be your girlfriend. She wasn't saying anything else apart from,
You sort of skipped a step.
yeah, you've gone and told your mum that I'm your girlfriend, but not actually discussed with me because, like, are we exclusive? I don't know where we're at this point
Yeah.
in the relationship. We just started dating. Like, be better to have that conversation with me. That's all she was saying. The next thing he said was, oh, that's all right. I'm just not I'm not looking for a relationship anyway. I just want someone I can hook up with now and then. And she's
Whoa.
gone, you know what, mate? Get stuff. Thank you for
Yeah.
coming, but that's the end of it. And he's like, oh, what? And she's like, no, you just completely flipped.
Yeah. Big time.
And I don't trust you. And you obviously have now either lied to me in order to satisfy what you think I want without actually asking me. You've also had a conversation with someone else about something that involves me that I didn't discuss
Yeah.
with you first. You obviously, you're two-faced almost.
But just imagine if he'd said that to her originally. So where are we at? What's going on? And she'd been like, yeah, I think we're a couple. And then he'd been like, oh, I've been talking to my mum about you as my girlfriend or whatever. And it would have been a very organic process to get to that. Instead, he skipped the step. She called him out on that, and he threw a giant tantrum.
He's just kind of gone.
He's protecting his ego.
Yeah. I'm cool.
Yeah, he's just protecting his ego.
But by doing so, he's just communicated that he's a tool.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh, dear.
And she's gone, well, I had an uneasy feeling the whole time. And she brought that up with him at other points because she's the kind of person who's just kind of come straight out and go, something's weird here.
Yeah.
And she said that to me in the first week or two. She goes, there's something weird about this guy. I don't know what it is. She's like, I don't know if it's like bodies in the basement weird or he's seeing another woman weird or he's just not a good communicator or emotionally stable. Don't really know, but there's something weird.
And it ended up being number 3.
He was.
Yeah.
He is not emotionally mature enough to be able to discuss what he thinks. Yeah.
At least she's pretty good at picking up on things like that. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm not sure, and I should just listen to my intuition.
Yeah, there's usually a reason. I mean,
Yeah.
you see a red flag. I mean,
Yeah.
all there's smoke, there's generally fire, and if there's not, should at least look for it.
Yeah.
Just in case, you know.
You never know.
But yeah, so I thought that was interesting because speaking of communication, that he had just kind of gone, oh no, this is what I want anyway. But that's going back to the German.
The German. Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of gone, oh yeah, not really, not really capable or ready for a relationship right now or whatever. Why not say that first up?
Why? But why go on to a speed dating event, then like talk to me for the whole night, then see me pretty much the whole day the next day, then ask to see me again, then we see each other again, and then we see each other again, and then he's like, yeah, I'm just not ready. And I'm like, and so I've wasted that time, and he's just messed with my brain. See, so
I don't know what the end game is.
I don't know either. And I followed the apparent rule of no sex before date 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that a rule?
Whose rule's that?
I don't know. It's apparently a rule.
Okay.
But I'm really bad at following it. But apparently it's a rule. So I did the right thing and...
God, I can't say I've followed that rule because I've gone 6 months into a relationship without sex.
Yeah, no. Wow.
Yeah, that's generally the response I get.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was kind of like, it was a different thing. I was like, I don't care because there's intimacy. That doesn't necessarily need to happen.
So I was having dinner last night with a friend. Let's call her Desiree.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this because she's a single mum as well. And she was saying that she's done 3 months, 6 months, I think even 9 months, no sex with guys she's dated with before.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very committed. Meanwhile, I'm not.
So is it counterproductive? I mean, because like, for me, when I was talking to friends about it, I'm like, oh, yeah, so I've been dating this girl for a few months and we're not sleeping together. They're like, okay, that's a red flag. And I'm like,
think so.
It's not necessarily a red flag. They're like, oh, well, she must be sleeping with someone else. I'm like, no, I don't think so, not necessarily. But the big one that came up was, what if when you have sex...
It's bad.
You're not physically compatible.
Yes,
or
after 6 months.
You're like, oh, shit. Now I'm emotionally invested.
Yes, and you could have gotten out early.
Or then you set yourself up for overthinking it when it does happen.
That's true.
And in all honesty, that's what happened. Is like it got in my head so much that like it had been built up to over such a long period of time that it was. I'm not going to say it was bad, but it was not what it should have been from my perspective and from hers. And she was like, oh, geez, I don't know if we're,
And then what happened? How long after that did you split up?
Oh, probably 6 months.
Oh, my gosh.
Because you got to give it a go, right?
True.
You got to like...
Did it get better?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
On and off. Yeah,
oh,
I don't
gosh.
really...
This is just all sounding wrong.
But there was more to it. There was more of an emotional level for me. So, like...
Okay.
I didn't mind. And because I also thought, well, I've had good sex before, so surely I know it's possible.
I'm
not saying, like I said, not saying it was bad sex. It's just it
wasn't
because
what
of the
expecting
mental
it to be.
Mental factor for me of like, oh my God, we built up to it for so long, and how am I? And then right there in the moment, you're in your head.
Yeah.
You can't be in your head. You've got to be in the room.
Which is why like early on is better because it's so physical anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that was counterproductive. So,
I think so.
If we've moved on in the conversation to timeframes with having sex, 3 dates or whatever, same as before, there's no rules. Just don't leave it too long.
Okay, but question, what about is it too soon? Like if first date, does that mean that really I'm just easy and I must do it with every guy, therefore why would you want to date me?
That's a difficult one because
see?
it all kind of it hangs on I'm looking for the word. It all relies on what the conversations were like leading up to your first date. If there was already that sexual chemistry through your conversations, then maybe you've already discussed, well, when we meet, we're having sex. Then that's what you're going to do.
But does that then make it more like not a dating possibility?
It's
but
a
more
hookup
like,
with the date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why though?
Why is it a hookup with a date or why?
Yeah.
Because that's what you plan to do.
But why can't it be like a date with sex and then a possible
Oh,
second
it
date?
absolutely can
but
be.
I don't feel like
Yeah,
it
no,
can be.
When I say hookup, I'm not talking one night stand.
Okay.
I'm talking you physically did the thing.
Yeah,
right?
the thing.
You know,
Yeah.
you can hook up 3 times a week with the same person if you want. You know, that's...
Okay. But there seems to be an attitude out there that girls are seen as easy if they do it on the first or second date, but third date, it's relationship. Like it's more like heading that way.
Okay.
See, this is a very complicated subject.
So do you think you know by the third date, considering the 5 date man that ghosted you?
Yeah, good point. We had sex on about the third date
So
and the fourth date and the fifth date.
So was he just going, I'm going to leave, but I'm going to have 2 more dates so she doesn't think I've just dumped her straight after sex?
That's a lot of effort. Do men?
I don't know.
Does that seems like a?
Hypothesizing.
I mean,
Who knows?
perhaps. I mean, I would have preferred just. To me, I don't know. Oh, I'm like that's just blown my mind.
Because, I mean, I've had situations where, like, I've met someone, first time we've met, we've had sex.
Yeah.
Then we started dating, and then we were together for over a year.
Okay. Yeah.
But we had sex first.
Right.
Before going on a date.
Oh, okay.
So there was no date. There was meeting,
Yes.
and then there was like, you're good,
Yeah.
sex,
Okay.
another
then-
time meeting,
Yeah.
sex, and then going out, spending time together, sleeping over, all of that stuff kind of came along, yeah. So, and that worked,
Okay.
you know, in the same way that, in its own way, 6 months no sex,
It didn't really work.
well, it kind of did.
But not as well.
Yeah, it was confronting. And then it probably would have been less confronting if it had happened earlier.
And was there that build up that didn't need to be there as well?
It's not that the sex was bad, it's just that it was in my head in a different way, and therefore it complicated it and made it difficult because I was overthinking it
Okay.
from a
An intellectual point of view.
from
What's
the actual physical part of it.
Yeah.
There was too much
thought
brain-
process going?
Yeah, too much. You shouldn't have to think about it
Not
that hard.
really,
You should
no.
just enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. The focus was on the wrong things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're saying then is when it comes to sex, there's no rule, right?
No, because at the end of the day, based on what we've just said, people can ghost you at any time. People can be assholes and use you for sex. I mean, but at the same time, like I've had situations where been talking to someone, spent some time getting to know them. We discussed sex, let's get together, have sex, got together, had sex, started to get to know each other, went on a couple of dates, and then it just fizzled out. And I also ascertained that person had been used for sex a lot of times.
Okay.
And then when I realised that I wasn't mentally capable of just having sex with someone because we were like, oh, I'm not going to have a relationship, let's just sleep together. When I realised I'm not mentally capable of doing that because I felt like that person was going to feel used, in hindsight, they didn't. And they've said to me since, I didn't feel used, I was in it, I'd made the decision to do that as well. But me, I went, no, I'm going to make this, I'm going to eventually decide I don't want this and then walk away and they're going to feel dumped again.
Yeah.
So we didn't do it again. So then she turned it around to, well, you just made me a one night stand. And I'm like, yeah, well, technically I did and I'm very sorry, but that was not my intention. My intention was that we would have an ongoing, even though only physical, we would have an ongoing relationship with each other. But then I was like, through the things she told me, I'm like, she wants to be wanted. She
Yeah.
wants to be someone's girlfriend. I'm not going, way, it's at the front of my house. It's not me. She wants someone to really love her and want her. I'm not going to do that, so therefore I'm not going to continue. And like I said, in conversations after the fact, she said to me, I ended up feeling worse because we only did it once.
Okay. Oh, you can't. Sometimes you just can't
And
win.
I'm like,
can
well,
you?
I'm sorry. That wasn't
Yeah.
my intention. I don't like one night stands. I would have rather done it more, but
Yeah.
that's how
Okay.
it was.
Okay, so basically, sex is sex. End of story.
If it feels good to you,
Yeah.
you do it when you want to do it. Don't let anyone judge.
And
Yeah.
if that person is judging, then they're just a
Yeah.
piece of rubbish.
And we've got third parties are going to judge you for your sexual activities. People are going to judge you for your haircut.
Well, they better not. It looks spectacular
No, it
right
does.
now.
Yeah, so let them judge.
Okay.
Screw them.
Okay, what about the first kiss then? Let's go back to my friend. I've talked about it before. When she went on a date, she went in for the first kiss. She was feeling good, and then he sent the dick pic.
Well, first of all, he said that he wasn't like that. I'm
Yeah,
not-
yeah. And then he sent a
See,
dick pic.
Yeah, I've had a conversation
you sitting
about
there?
this. So, kissing's on the first date is a bit too much for you, mate. But something in his head told him that it's okay to send a dick pic to someone who's sitting next
Right,
to you.
I know. It's so weird. Every time I replay it in my head, I'm like, poor her. Like, what makes you do that?
Yeah, that is really weird.
I know. It is really weird. Okay, so
First kiss.
and what type of kiss? Is it just like this is the question. Is it just no tongue? Is it, you know what I mean? There's so many questions.
See, I don't know. I move pretty slowly.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, 6 months.
So that was an anomaly. But if I meet someone,
Yeah.
I don't even touch them. Apart from when I meet them, either to shake their hand or if they lean in to hug. You
Yeah.
kind of read other people's signals. Because I'm very I need to make sure they're consenting with this. I'm not just going to try and kiss someone.
Can I tell you one story? I was on a first date with a guy, and I'm literally talking like a sentence, and he leans in and kisses me, halfway through a sentence, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I just really needed to kiss you."
Yeah, okay. Have you seen Hotel Transylvania?
Yeah.
And they talk about the zing.
Yes.
That's the best way. Man, I watched that movie and I'm like, that's dead right.
Yeah.
You kiss someone when you both feel the zing.
Yeah. Well, there was no zing. I was literally
No.
halfway through a sentence.
No, that's weird.
It was weird.
So the right time to kiss someone is when the right time
Yeah.
happens. So if it's the first date, I mean, it could be the end of the date.
Mm-hmm.
It could be had scenarios where talking to a girl and said, do you mind if I kiss you? Mm-hmm. And they're like, hell yeah, go.
Yeah. That's different to stopping someone mid-sentence who's clearly not thinking about kissing.
If it's your partner,
That's different.
I mean, you can walk up to someone who's doing the dishes and just
Yeah,
kiss them.
that's different.
That's different.
Yeah.
And you should do that.
Yes.
Or flick them with a towel as
Yeah.
you walk past,
Whatever. Yeah.
But first date, no, don't do that.
No.
Maybe kiss goodnight.
Yes.
And even then, don't go in expecting it to be some big passionate thing.
What,
but if,
in the movies?
yeah, but if it feels like,
Yeah.
give them a kiss goodnight and they reciprocate, then yeah, it's just meant to be the kiss.
Mm-hmm.
But if you lean in and they balk a bit,
Yeah.
then no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
But you need to have some sort of intuition on these things. If you get to second date, third date, if you get third date and you haven't kissed the person, starting to wonder.
Yes.
Because I think it's another one of those. I think when it comes to these things, everything we've discussed so far is not a matter of what's too soon. It's a matter of what's too long.
Yes, yes.
Because if you leave it too long,
it feels like a friendship then.
yeah, or
Yeah.
it just doesn't feel right.
Like imagine, yeah, like I think a third date, no kiss, that would be very weird.
But for someone to say you shouldn't kiss on the first date, I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
If the feeling's there, do it.
I agree.
And there's, because you know, like you look at each other's mouths and you're close enough when your body language, that means that they want to kiss you.
Yeah.
You don't assume and just go, well, I've got lips. I better kiss them.
Although now I think about it with my friend, she just decided to go in for the kiss, but there was, I don't think there was any sign.
So she's just like done what that guy did to you and like mid-conversation going, I like this guy, kissing him.
I think so, yeah.
See, I don't know too many men who would be like, oh, attractive woman kissing me.
I
Better
would say
stop.
no. Yeah.
I
And
know.
send her a dick pic.
Yeah. I better stop and send her a dick pic. Yeah, I feel like I should go and book a session with a therapist. And then when I get in there and they go, okay, so what do you want to talk about? I go, it's not actually about me. I just want your opinion on this thing that happened to a friend of mine because I don't understand.
I don't think anyone understands. It's crazy. The more I say it, I'm like, no.
Because it's just the contradiction. It's I can understand him saying, I don't want to kiss because first date, I'm not into kissing on the first date.
Yeah.
But
respect, yeah.
leave it there. Don't then whip out the dick pic.
I know.
It's strange.
And just to send it while she's sitting there. Every time I just read, I just don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's
anyone
strange.
gets it. Definitely go and see a therapist to talk about him, please.
Yeah, it's going to cost me $180 to get his opinion on something, but
It's okay.
yeah. So
We accept donations.
yeah, that's it. So we've got messaging timeframes.
Yeah.
It's never too early, but it can be too late. Sex, it's not too early, depending on the type of conversation you've had, but it can be too late.
Yeah.
First kiss,
Whenever.
whenever, as
Yeah.
long as it feels right.
Just maybe not until the third date. That's probably too long.
Third date at the latest, I think. Or
Yeah.
I don't know,
See, now you're rethinking, aren't
you
you?
could go later, but
I don't know. If you're onto the fourth or fifth date and you haven't even kissed.
I'm trying to think in my history. I don't think I've ever gone past second or third.
No, I don't think
meeting.
so either.
Yeah,
I don't think I've gone past second. Third or fourth? No.
yeah. No, I don't think so. Yeah. You can definitely leave it too long.
I think so. Then it's just a friendship.
Yeah, then you're just hanging out.
Yeah.
So what else?
I don't know. I think they're the main things when it comes to dating, the messaging, the kissing, the sex. Okay. When you're in a relationship, when is that?
Oh,
Is there a timeline? Is there a moment?
I think there's
Apparently not 5 dates.
No. I think there's times where if you're dating someone and they delete their dating app profiles,
Yes. Okay.
that's a
That's a
big
good sign.
indicator that they're not interested in talking to other people.
Yeah. Okay.
If you both go and have a mutual deleting ceremony, I've had
Ooh.
one of those before.
Really?
Yeah. Ex-fiance and I,
Yeah.
we were like, I'm not going to be on Tinder anymore. And she's like, well, I've stopped using it. And I'm like, cool, well, I'm going to delete my profile. And she goes, awesome, let's do it. So we got our phones out and we deleted our profiles
Oh.
and then deleted Tinder. And then we're like, wicked, we're in a relationship.
That's cool.
We didn't say, oh, look at us, we're in a relationship.
Yay.
But that,
Yeah.
know. But at the same time, some people need things to be vocalized. So it's some people will be like, well, you didn't ask me to be your girlfriend, so therefore, of course, I've been talking to other men.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though it's sort of clear that everything you're doing, you're in a relationship.
Yeah, that's right.
But then what constitutes a relationship? What point do you go from just dating to actually being in a relationship?
That timeline can vary because
Yeah.
that can be a couple of months. Like you can still be talking to other people, you can still be swiping, you can still be dating other people, not necessarily sleeping with other people. But even then, people do that. So I think there needs to come a time where you maybe do have a conversation, even if it's not just straight out, so will you be my girlfriend?
Yeah.
It's just kind of,
Are we?
I'm not seeing anyone
Yeah.
else, neither am I.
Yeah. That's
That's it.
obvious. Yeah.
If you haven't had that conversation, or that conversation's being avoided, you don't know.
No.
They could be. And
Okay.
I think that's what thing with Anita is like. It's like, well, we haven't had the conversation. She
Yeah.
wasn't seeing other people, but she was within her rights to.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
so, yeah.
Okay. So it's all dependent on each other, each couple. So you
Yeah.
just, See, this is, I'm
I don't think,
sensing
like-
a theme.
I don't think there's much actual helpful advice going on here apart
None.
from there aren't any rules.
Yeah.
Don't live to other people's expectations. And don't feel pressured into doing something that you don't feel comfortable doing, no matter what that is. Don't drink the cup of tea if you don't want to drink the cup of tea. You know,
Ooh,
like,
okay.
have you seen that video that like in the UK, some police department put out this video?
Oh, the tea one.
Tea and
yes.
consent?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do remember that. It was related to like consent.
Consent,
and,
yeah. So like, it's
Yeah.
literally like people listening, go onto YouTube and look up tea and consent.
Yeah, it's
like
a good
tea
one.
as in cup of
Yeah.
tea. And it's this little animation goes for a few minutes about, like if someone makes you a cup of tea, or you make a person a cup of tea, and then halfway through their cup of tea, they decide they don't want to finish the cup of tea, you can't force them to finish the cup
No.
of tea. If someone says they want their cup of tea with no sugar, you don't force them to have the sugar. If you give someone a cup of tea without asking and they don't want the cup of tea, you take the cup of tea back. Or just don't give someone a cup of tea if they haven't asked. But the
Yeah.
best one is an unconscious person never wants to drink tea.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, I have watched it before, but
Yeah.
not for a while. Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
I think that dating and relationships and all these kind of things, it's an individual thing, and do what you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
And
But I just hate that there's conversation all the time with my friends about what the rules are. Like, and now obviously I'm going to say to them, listen to this episode, because it's clear there are no rules.
there aren't any rules.
The rules are rubbish, and they've been created because we overthink everything.
You know what? It comes into a form of slut shaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if you're one, and it's mainly women who cop this. Men don't tend to cop this kind of thing. One, if you're sleeping with more than one guy because you've only just met them, and then you sleep with another guy because you just met them, but then you're like, well, I might go on a date with the first guy again. People are like, oh, you're promiscuous sleeping around. No, you're not.
no, you just
It's your
enjoying
choice. If
life.
you want to have sex with a different person every weekend, go for your damn
Yeah.
life.
So when I was going on a couple of dates with someone, I remember talking. I think it was some clients I was talking to, and I was training them. And one guy said, "Oh, if a girl has sex with me on the first date, I'm assuming she's doing that with every guy, and therefore she's easy."
You can't
No.
assume anything.
Exactly.
No.
But that's what they're saying. That's
Yeah.
why you should wait, because there's that assumption. I'm not saying that's what is
And-
right.
And even if they are, so what?
Yeah.
If they want to have sex with every guy they meet, let go for
And you
them.
know what? No guy is judged for that. A guy can do whatever he wants, but it's still that concept of like women can't have sex with whoever they want to.
Yeah. I think men do, there is a level of judgment, but it's a different,
It was more like the bro,
I've judged you as a player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that nobody has the right to tell you what you're doing is wrong or right if no one's getting hurt.
Yeah.
Like if you're murdering, yeah,
I mean, it's
maybe
probably
not
a bit
do
bad.
that.
Yeah.
Like running
No to
over
murder.
children in your car. Don't do that.
No.
But if all you're doing is dating lots of people, like as long as you're respectful to people and you communicate, all good. Don't worry about someone. I think we touched on it earlier. Don't know if we spoke about it during the episode or pre-recording. if someone has a problem with the way that you're trying to communicate, like if you message someone and then they're like, oh, you message me too much, or you don't message me enough,
Yeah.
that's a them problem.
Yeah.
Move on and find someone who's comfortable with the way you message.
I mean, in the end, all of that really is that's a them problem. Yeah. And
That's
that's
it.
what we should think about. Like when I'm like, if I send a message now, if they don't reply, that's a them problem. If I have sex with them tonight and they don't see me again, that's a them problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's not don't have too much anxiety. And I know that's a really complicated thing to say, because telling someone not to have anxiety is like, don't bleed from that wound.
Never.
Like, I know you just got a knife through your leg, but try not to bleed so much.
Yeah.
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 If you get anxiety, try not to have anxiety. Doesn't
No
work.
anxiety.
Oh, I see you're depressed. Have you tried being happy?
Watch a funny movie.
Go and get some air. That'll work. Yeah, that's so offensive. It's
Yeah.
not funny. Like, I mean, we're not here to talk about mental health, but if it causes you anxiety, avoid it.
Yeah.
That means you have control of that. If you identify that something's a trigger for you, and that trigger revolves around the way that people communicate with you, avoid those kind of people, because they will trigger your anxiety. I mean, if this is one thing I know about anxiety, you can't control it when
No.
it happens. If you're going to get triggered, you're going to get
Yeah,
triggered. And
that's
some
very
people that suffer anxiety get upset at themselves for being triggered. They're like, I shouldn't have let myself be triggered. It's like, you can't control
Not
it.
really.
You
Yeah.
got triggered. That's why it's called a trigger.
Yes.
Like, it just happens.
It does just
So
happen.
all you can do is kind of work through it,
Yeah.
and then hopefully try to avoid it in the future.
Okay, so our take-home message is just do whatever.
Do what
and be
you
happy.
want. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
I like it. Oh.
All right. So that kind of brings us to the end then, I
think
guess.
it does.
So we didn't have any emails to read. We got so many emails over the last couple of weeks
I know,
that
it's
we
been intense.
exhausted on that. So no emails this week. Please contact us on Sky and or
Sky
or Damo. Sky and Damo
at Gmail.
at gmail.com.
And Insta is in my lounge room.
Very easy to find.
Check it out. Message us there. I think that's it for the day.
That'll do.
Love it.
Yeah, so have a good day, and until next time.
Can't wait.
Bye.
See ya.
Try too hard to
Thanks for listening to In My Lounge Room with Sky and Damo. In My Lounge Room intro music written and performed by Damien McKay. Outro song for this episode performed by 12 Inch Shifter. Music written by Chris Butcher. Lyrics by Damien McKay.